Hey guys, this is Kevin aka Stubbs. Welcome to my first YouTube tutorial. Let's get straight into it. Alright. So a lot of people have asked me, how do I play video games with one hand? I get it a lot on Twitch when I stream, and just from friends in general. So hopefully this video helps people that maybe have one hand, people with other disabilities, what have you. Hopefully it helps you guys and gives you guys some insight into how I play video games. So to give you guys some context, I was born with one hand. There's a huge, as you guys could imagine, huge difference between being born with one hand versus losing it midlife, right? With that being said, playing video games for me, I've been playing since I was 5 on Xbox. I first learned on Nintendo 64, switched to Xbox when Xbox first came out. So I've been playing with this bad boy for years. So I'm super comfortable with Xbox controller. I guess for me it's been normal, just how people learn how to do things with two hands. I've learned how to do it with one. So playing video games, it came fairly naturally to me. Just like learning how to play PC or Xbox with two hands, it's the same kind of thing. You develop the muscle memory, you develop kind of the ins and outs of how you game. And with all that being said, everyone's going to learn to adapt to game differently. I mean, you even have people with two hands that play PC or Xbox or any video game differently. So hopefully this video helps you guys maybe come up with some cool ideas on how to game, or if anything else, just it's a cool video of how I game and gives you guys some cool insight into my one-handed gaming life. So let's crack into some setup. I'm going to show you guys how to configure a controller for PC games and how to run games through Steam. That way you can use a controller. I'm going to show you my mouse setup. As you can imagine, since I don't make use of the keyboard, I'm going to show you how I use a mouse to compensate for the lack of the keyboard functionality. So we'll jump into that. We'll jump into some actual gameplay so you can get a sense of, with everything set up, how it actually translates to the game. So we'll set that up. I'm going to transfer over to the gameplay screen, and hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so as mentioned before, I really don't use the keyboard for pretty much anything in game. The actions are divvied up primarily between the controller and the mouse. So to give you guys an idea, I think it's useful to show you basically my arm and how it works, because everyone's going to be different, and the length if they're missing an arm. I mean, it could be anything, right? So my arm, this is my stub here. Bring that into camera. So my stub is basically an elbow with a few inches off the elbow. So you can kind of see it bend here. This is the elbow. So this piece here, I use this for the controller, which is super helpful. This movement helps a ton. So I'm going to place the stub on the controller. The controller actually sits on my lap. The controller really, the way I use it is just for movement. I use it as basically a WASD. So I use the left analog for that, and I use a little bit of the left bumper and left trigger actions. So that's how the stub works. That's how it looks. So let's crack into the game. Let's crack into some mouse setup as well. So as you guys can see, we're in Steam right now. For those of you that are unfamiliar, Steam is a cloud-based gaming library where you can download games, you can run games off of your computer. It's awesome, huge program. So Steam is where the initial setup begins. So this is where I'm going to start the configuration of the controller. And then when I get into game, there's further configuration that goes there as well. As you can see the screen here, we have the game Escape from Tarkov up. This game is a looter shooter. I'm using this as an example because, first off, I play a lot of this game, and the game is a useful example because there are so many actions in this game. There's a lot to do. So first things first, to get the controller to work within Steam, you're gonna want to turn on the controller. So you can see my light here is connecting. Awesome, so controller's configured. Now we see this controller configuration, little bar underneath the play button. We'll go ahead and click that. So this is our controller configuration. We can set any command for any of the buttons on the controller. For me, I really left everything as is. As you can see, it's just left trigger, left bumper. If we click on it, you can set a binding to whatever you want. So whatever's useful for you in game, you can set it to that. I'll go ahead and close out here. So that's controller configuration. I know most of you are pretty familiar with how to set that up. You can play with it however you want. It's pretty straightforward. Once you have the controller configuration all completed, you have everything all dialed in, then you can turn the game on and start playing. Before we get into the game though, I do want to show you with Steam, some people have asked me, specifically with this game, is how do you get games that aren't in the Steam library to run on Steam? Pretty simple. To do that, we're gonna go in the bottom left. You can kind of see my cursor here. You're gonna click Add Game. You wanna add a non-Steam game. We'll go ahead and click that. And you'll see a list of programs that you can add to your library. You're gonna find the game that you wanna run. In this case, we found Escape from Tarkov. You'll select it, and then you'll go ahead and click Add Selected Programs right here, and that'll add it to your Stream library. Pretty straightforward. So up until now, I've shown you guys how to set up the controller to play PC games. Next, I'm gonna show you how I set up my mouse. My mouse is a Logitech G600 MMO mouse. It has 12 side buttons and it has 3 clicks on the top, standard cursor. So let's go ahead and open up the Logitech software. This is where we're actually going to configure the mouse. So we see our G600 here. We're going to go ahead and go to assignments, and then we can switch between the top and side of the mouse with these arrows here. Just like controller configuration, we can use this program to set the commands for each button on the mouse. So you can see here, I have a bunch of random stuff configured. I have F, space, M, a whole bunch of stuff. So these are the commands that are actually going to control the game, and these are the same commands that I've set in game, if that makes sense. So in game, you can set your keyboard functions to perform certain commands. So those keyboard functions I've basically defined on the mouse, so I can use my mouse as the keyboard. So let's go ahead and close this out. All right, we've covered how to set up the controller, how to set up the mouse. Pretty straightforward, as everything's pretty much been so far. So the next step is to open the game and configure the keybinds within game. So let's go ahead and open up Escape from Tarkov here. This is Escape from Tarkov's main screen. I'm pretty sure every game has one. Whatever game you're playing, you're going to want to navigate to the settings location that allows you to set each key to a specific action. So as you can see here, there are quite a few actions in this game. We have actions for fire, aim, lean, mumble, toggle your night vision, tons of stuff. So you can see a bunch of different random keys that are set. Some are multi-actions, some are just numbers or letters. And what I've done is these numbers or letters here, so for example, lean right is set to the key E. So what I've done is in the Logitech software, I set E to be G14 on the side of the mouse. So when I hit G14 in game, my person's gonna actually lean right. So let's go ahead and close this out. Again, straightforward. You just have to play with this to find out what works best for you. Everyone's gonna be different. This is what works for me, so we'll go ahead and leave this and let's crack into a game here. All right, so we're in a match. Let's go ahead and all those settings we configure, let's try them out. So I'll explain things as I go. The controller is, again, WASD. The mouse is going to control everything you see here. This is all mouse here. So you can see my thumb moving to the different buttons over the mouse. And honestly, this is all just muscle memory. I know what each button does, where it's at. I don't even have to look at it, I just know it's there. So my biggest recommendation is as you're learning to play with whatever setup you've configured, just test it out. Go into offline mode, do some test rounds, play around with the buttons, see what works, and then go from there. Every iteration, just keep getting better and better. Well, that's all I have, guys. I really hope that was helpful for all of you. If you're learning to adapt to play a game on PC or console, I hope that was helpful for you guys. If you'd like more help, I'm actually live every week on Twitch at twitch.tv/Kevin aka Stubbs. Feel free to pop in, ask any questions, maybe throw in a one-arm joke. I'm happy to hear it all, guys. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you sticking around for my first YouTube tutorial. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it.